Hi, boys and girls. I hope that you guys are having a great Tuesday. It is Miss Granger, and it is good to see you guys all again. I want to review real quick. We started talking about author's purpose yesterday. Remember, we said it was easy as pie. Authors usually write for three main reasons, and that's to persuade, to inform, and to entertain us. Okay, remember, if the author's trying to persuade you, or anybody's trying to persuade you, they're trying to persuade you to do something. If the author is informing you, they're telling you about something, kind of giving you some facts. And if they're entertaining you, then it's just for fun. Like we said, those are kind of like your AR books that you read for fun. So what we are going to do today is we are going to finish up our story, Officer Mike, Arrow and Officer Mike, okay? I want you to be thinking about, too, why the author chose to write this story. Is it to persuade us, to inform us, or to entertain us? What is the main reason why the author has written this story? So we're going to start here with our next heading. So canine training. Have you ever wondered what the dogs have to go through in order to be a canine officer? Arrow's training never ends. Several times a month, Arrow and Officer Mike train with other officers and their canine partners. One exercise the police dogs do is to run through the obstacle course. The dogs practice getting over, under, around, and through different spots. Arrow has to learn how to walk up and down every steep, open. Arrow has to learn how to walk up and down very steep, open stairs. He also has to learn how to walk over a large, open grating, the kind that you often see in the city streets. At first, he has to spread his paws to help keep his balance. His legs begin to quiver, and he whined or frightened or cry, he whined, a frightened cry. So we can see here this is one of our highlighted words. So quiver. If you're kind of quivering, you're kind of shaking a little bit. So he's kind of shaking. He had to practice over and over, and Officer Mike kept saying, "Good boy, you can do it." Arrow was brave and trusted his partner, but he still does not like the open grates or the steep stairs. So you can kind of see him practicing right here. He's jumping over the fence and he's going up and down the stairs. And this is that grate that he doesn't like. You might have seen those in the street. All right, our next section is about Arrow's sense of smell. Canines have very powerful noses, hundreds of times more powerful than human noses. That's why one of Arrow's most helpful talents on the police force is his ability to find things. So if he has the ability to be able to do something, that means that he can actually do it. So they use a lot of the police dogs to be able to go sniff out and to go find different things. When children play hide and seek, they may think they are well hidden. Their dog can find them right away. The same is true with when a child is lost or wandering away from home. Arrow can find the child by using his sense of smell. Each person has a scent that is different from everyone else's scent. Even twins do not smell the same. That's crazy. A person's unique smell comes from the food he or she eats, the soap or the shampoo he or she uses, and the clothes he or she wears, and the place that he or she lives. So everybody smells different. A lot of times when a canine is going to search for somebody, they'll kind of give him a piece of clothing or something if they have it available so that he can smell it so he knows kind of what he's searching for. At the vets, oh goodness, so we'll see what it's like for Arrow at the vet. Arrow goes to Dr. Morris, a veterinarian, for regular checkups. Arrow must lie still on the table while the doctor examines him. Once Arrow had a small infection on his neck. Dr. Morris gave him some medicine so he would get better. Because a police dog works so hard and has such an important job, he needs to be healthy. At the end of his checkup, Dr. Morris lifts up Arrow to the floor and pets him and says, "Good dog." So we read previously yesterday that Arrow loves being told "good dog." So that's when he knows that he's doing really well. All right, so this section right here, visiting in the community. Nurses and teachers often write to the chief of police to ask if Arrow can come visit the children in the hospital or school. Arrow likes children and is always gentle with them. He is even gentler when visiting a sick child. He lies down, staying very still and quiet so the child won't be afraid of him. When Officer Mike and Arrow visit schools, Officer Arrow rests on the floor beside Officer Mike. Together, they demonstrate the different commands Arrow will obey. So remember yesterday we talked about there was a whole section that the author told us about the different commands that Officer Mike uses about how he can sit and stay and when to kind of do things. Well, they show this off, and you can see this in this picture right here in the classroom. So why is there a police? The children ask many questions. Why is there a police badge on Arrow's collar? How high can Arrow jump? How fast can Arrow run? Officer Mike carefully answers the questions. Arrow's badge shows everyone that he's a working police dog. He can jump over an 8-foot wall when he's chasing a criminal. That's tall. He can run very fast, about 40 miles an hour. Ooh, that's way faster than I could run. Even the fastest person can only run about 24 miles an hour. So that is super fast. So he'll answer those questions while they're in school. So they like to visit the hospitals and they like to visit the classrooms. Petting Arrow. I want you to really pay attention to this page because in a little bit when we finish, I've got a question for you that's going to come back from this page, okay? Petting Arrow. Children often want to pet Arrow. Officer Mike tells them the rules. Never try to pet a strange dog until you ask permission from the owner. Never come up behind Arrow. He might get frightened and snap at you. You don't want him to snap at you because he might think that you're trying to hurt him. Never ever hug a canine around the neck. Walk up to the police dog slowly from the front so he can see you. Let him sniff your hand. And then pet him on the head or ears gently and talk softly to him, okay? So that if you ever see a canine dog, those are the rules that you need to follow. Make sure that you ask for permission first for not only just a canine dog, but any dog that you may see. Back at the station. So let's see what happens when they get back to the station. At the end of the 12-hour work shift, there's always a final job to be done at the police station. After talking with his friends on the force, Officer Mike sits down and writes a report for the police chief about the whole day or night. Arrow lays down but by Officer Mike's chair. So you can see him right here. So he's kind of writing his report for what happened for the day, kind of telling them what was going on. So these two sections right here, these two headings, remember we talked about yesterday how the author was organizing this story by headings to be able to keep us, the reader, organized about what's going on with the dog. Fellow officers. After the report is written, Officer Mike and Arrow go home together. When Officer Mike goes to bed, Arrow will plop down on the floor near the bed. He lays his head on his paws and with a sigh goes to sleep next to his best friend. Neither of them knows what surprises tomorrow's patrol will bring, but they are always well prepared. They both love being police officers. So I want you to kind of remember the way the story started yesterday. How they were waking up for the new day, they were ready to go, and how our story is ending. It's the end of the day, they're laying down, they're going to bed, and they're kind of getting ready for tomorrow, for the next day, and they don't know what that patrol is going to hold. I want you to be thinking about, I told you to be thinking about why the author has written this story. Is it to persuade us to do something? Is the author trying to encourage us to become a police officer or maybe get a dog? Is the author trying to entertain us? I guess inform, if we're going in order. If we go by pie, is the author trying to inform us about something? Is the author trying to tell us about police officers and their canine officers? Or is the author trying to entertain us? Okay, is this something that we kind of read for fun? So I want you to think about that for just a minute. Which part of pie is the author doing? Why did the author write this? I hope that you were thinking about the I in pie because the author of this piece is trying to write to inform us about police officers and about canine officers and how they work together. So what you guys are going to do now is you are going to open up your Google slide, and it looks like this. It says Arrow and Officer Mike, Police Partners. It's the title of our story. And I told you I wanted you to pay attention to that page about petting Arrow. Okay, and those instructions that kind of came with it. I have put it here for you in the slide so you can go back and look at it. I want you to read back through that, and I want you to answer this question. Why do you think the author wrote this section? So why did the author need to tell us about petting Arrow? Why did the author write this section, and how could the readers use this information in real life? So learning about how to pet arrow, how could you use this in real life? So I want you to tell me why the author wrote it and how you, as the reader, might use this in real life. So you're going to answer those questions right here. You'll just type your answer right here. Once you have finished that, make sure you go and you turn it in to your teacher so they can see it. And then you are going to read a really, really short passage about the rock cycle, okay? And I know we finished up with the rocks right before we got out for break. So this will be a nice little review for you, but you're going to read this short little passage about the rock cycle, and then you're going to answer, you can put your name so we know it's you, and you're going to answer these two questions. What is the main idea of the passage, the rock cycle? So what is the main idea? Okay, what is this passage about? And then give two details from the text to support that main idea. Because remember, you have to be able to back it up. You might say that the main idea is one thing, and somebody else might say the main idea is another. But as long as you two both have evidence from the text to support why you think that is the main idea, you've got to be able to have that evidence from the text. Okay, we've been talking about how important that is all year long. You got to have that evidence from the text. So you're going to read this and tell me what it mostly is about. And then you're going to give me two details for how you know that that's what that's about, okay? I hope that you guys have a great rest of the day, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.